Hi, Dean.
Hello, Ingram. How are you, mate?
I'm fine. Thanks for talking to the Boxing Hangout.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
So, let's go from the start here. You are the trainer of Chris Keane.
Yes, one of the trainers, with Chris Keane, myself and Paul Hudson, yes.
Okay. So, tell me more about Chris Keane, his amateur career.
Chris was an ABA heavyweight champion, and he boxed for England. He actually won the Nations as well at heavyweight. He beat the current prospect Wadi Camacho very easily in the Nations final. He's only the second person in the ABAs to knock out all his opponents when he won them at heavyweight.
The first person was Audie Harrison. Frank Bruno, sorry.
Yeah, Frank Bruno is the only other person. Chris is the second person. Yeah, nobody else has ever managed to knock out all their opponents. Wow,
that's an amazing achievement. But he's now campaigning at cruiserweight.
Yeah, he's a cruiserweight now. He's a professional. Yes, yeah.
So what happened? Why is he not campaigning at heavyweight?
Well, when I give you his statistics, you'll wonder why he's not campaigning at light heavyweight. Chris is only very, very small. He wasn't very dedicated in the amateurs, reason him operating at heavyweight. He's even boxed at super heavyweight. The lad who he just last beat in his last professional contest, he actually fought him in the super heavyweight as an amateur.
You're talking about Shane Mcphillbin, right?
Yeah, Shane Mcphillbin, who the same year Shane Mcphillbin then fought Tyson Fury twice at super heavyweight as well. But he wasn't very dedicated. He's come to us, we've got his weight down, and now he's actually, for his fights, he weighs in at around about 13 stone 10, which is a good half a stone under the cruiserweight limit. But he's strong and he's fast, so he's comfortable operating in the cruiserweight division.
Yes. I said we met before when Derek Chisora was preparing to fight David Haye. Yeah, and I remember when I saw you guys, I saw Chris in the ring, and I saw him sparring with Derek, and he handled himself very well. He stood toe to toe with Derek.
Yeah, saying that, that's a little bit of that we're trying to get out of him, because he's very heavy-handed. He's naturally heavy-handed, obviously, as you know, and he's also, unlike a lot of punchers, he's got a great chin. So he sometimes likes to stand there and trade a little bit, but he's got fast feet, fast hands, good movement. So obviously we keep trying to keep him moving more than trading.
So in his last bout, this was the toughest fight to date against Shane Mcphillbin. Now, Shane, guys,
yeah, it was supposed to be. Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Well,
yes.
Supposedly, yes, on paper. Chris had fought 8 fights, you say?
Yeah, this was his 9th professional fight, yes.
9th professional fight versus Shane Mcphillbin. Give the fans who maybe don't know who Shane Mcphillbin is some background.
Shane Mcphillbin got to the semi-final as an amateur at super heavyweight. He lost to Tyson Fury twice. Very, very tough man. Never been stopped, amateur or pro. As I say, he fought the likes of Tyson Fury a couple of times. He fought some good lads. He fought Enzo Macronelli as a professional. He actually had Enzo Macronelli down and out in the first round. But unfortunately, the timekeeper rang the bell 47 seconds early, which managed to give Enzo a bit of a respite, and he managed to recover. But he was out in that fight. He also knocked out Leon Williams to take the British title only last year. So he's a recent British champion. He's a good tough operator. He's good at what he does.
And he's got a good punch in him as well.
Yes, he's operated. He's fought Michael Sprott at heavyweight. He's never been stopped. Most of his fights have been at heavyweight. He's only had probably 3 or 4 at cruiserweight, and one of them was to win the British title at cruiserweight only last year. fought John Lewis Dickinson recently for that British title, which he lost, but he went the distance. That was his last fight before we fought him.
I noticed, I watched the fight, you know, guys looked real cool beforehand. Chris got in the ring, there was no sign of nerves or anything like that. He seemed ready to do a job. He looked mean, real ready for business.
Chris is intimidated by nobody. You know, he's no trash talker, as you know yourself.
Yeah.
Ingram, he's laid back. You know, he comes out with no entrance music, as I've said before. No posh gown or posh. You know, just comes out black shorts, black boots.
I noticed he's wearing a black T-shirt this time. Was that forced upon him?
It was forced upon him because usually he doesn't like to wear nothing, but he was hanging around for a little bit, and we didn't want him getting too cold, so we made him just put up. But he would only wear a plain black T-shirt.
I was wondering. I saw him coming in. This time he's wearing a black T-shirt. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody else to force it upon him. Who made the decision? Was it you or the other trainer?
Well, it was a joint decision. It was like, you know, simple as, well, look, it's cold, we're standing there, look, put a bloody T-shirt on. he just likes to get in there, he wants to hear that first bell, do his business, get out and go on.
Well,
no trash talking, or he just loves the business.
I was looking forward to a good, long, hard fight. And I saw in the first round he caught Mcphillbin with a right hand. First right hand he caught him clean.
He caught him inside with a short left hook right hand.
Yeah, and that hurt.
I mean, very, very, very short it was as well. It literally, both punches travelled an inch or so.
Yeah.
A couple of inches, you know, and Mcphillbin, obviously, his legs buckled and he stumbled back.
Yes, and it hurt him, and I thought, you know what, when he felt that first punch, it seemed to be that Mcphillbin just didn't want to know after that. His body language was like, you know what, I'm not going to win this fight. I'm not really, you know.
I think, without sounding big-headed or, listen, Chris by far is the most dangerous cruiserweight and probably the best cruiserweight in the UK already, mate. Now, I've said before, I know it's a strong statement to make, but it's true. There's nobody with hands as quick as he is. There's nobody that punches as hard as him, with movement like him. And he's also got a fantastic chin on him as well. As you've seen when he sparred the likes of Michael, when you've seen him spar Chisore, sparred Michael Spratt, Enzo, that Juno Hupio just took Masternick the distance.
Yes.
You know, these are the type of people that Chris is sparring with, and at times, and a lot of the times, getting better of some of these people. So, you know.
Yeah, but Chris, you know, a lot of people say this, a lot of trainers say this, and it's not you having a dig at here, because you know how I am.
Yes.
But fans like to hear, and people hear, yeah, you know, he looks good in sparring, he's looked great in the build-up. You know, sort of things you hear on Sky. He's looked great in the build-up. Yeah, he's the best in Britain, and
then they don't perform.
Oh yeah, but yeah, we know, we've seen Chris going and do the business so far, and he looks. Somebody's called him the new Nigel Benn in the cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he looks no nonsense. Doesn't look like a guy who's going to say a lot of words. He's going to do the business, which is unfortunate in this day and age of boxing. If you don't say much in boxing, your personality, your ticket sales can suffer from it. But if you run your mouth off, then you're like, you know, it doesn't matter if you can fight that much. It helps if you can fight a bit, but if you run out of your gums, you're going to get people coming to see you fight.
I agree. I mean, unfortunately, listen, that's why, as you know, I do most of the talking for Chris, because I can talk forever. You know, Ingram, you just can't. He's a man of very few words. If you ask him, like, before the fight, all the fighters in the chamber room are going, "You all right?" He's lying. Chris is lying down. I mean, lying down. It's like he hasn't got a care in the world, mate. It's like it's a Friday evening before he's due to go out or something. He's lying down. He's relaxing. Everyone's like, "What bloody hell? You know, is he okay?" Not a bother on him. He doesn't suffer nerves. He doesn't. He just. I don't know what it is, mate. I've never trained anybody like him. I've never met nobody like him. It's absolutely unreal. The minute you put gloves on him, he wants to punch holes in you.
Yeah, I saw in the training clip he did. He just looked like, I tried to talk to him. He just didn't want to know. And I'm in the Caribbean, yeah, and I can feel it was just no nonsense, just serious business. And I didn't take any offence to that, because that's just, you know, it's fight time. It's time to fight. Yeah, there's some guys you could talk to leading up to the fight, even fight night. You'll see the big smiles on their face, laughing and joking. And even David Haye's a good example. You look at David Haye coming to ring, he's bopping away to his music, he's smiling. But once you get through those ropes, you know that
it's business. Yeah.
Have you ever met David Haye? Because I mean, Chris's style is so similar to David. I'll talk to Adam Booth. You know, maybe they could give you tips. I know tips in terms of like, because the styles are so similar, that maybe, you know, because it's so similar, both cruiserweights, both big punchers.
Yeah, I'm actually, and to be honest, there is an awful. I've made that comparison myself. There is a lot of similarities between them, with the hand speed, the power, the movement, and actually they were both small cruiserweights. As I say, Chris is only 13 stone 10. Eventually we will build him up to, he's like 14 stone 2, 14 stone 3. We will fill him out. You know, very much like David was small. Hopefully Mr. Booth or Mr. Haye see some of these videos and maybe get in touch, because we wouldn't mind a bit of sparring or something with them actually. Try and, you know, like I say, to be the best, you've got to rub shoulders with the best and learn from the best, and you know, they're very good at what they do.
So you're talking about you'd like to get some sparring, right?
Yeah, I'd love to get some sparring and get, and you know, and Chris learn a few things and pick up a few things off David.
I'll tell you something now, right? I'll tell you something now. Tyson Fury's due to be fighting Steve Cunningham, yeah? Yeah. Cunningham's a small heavyweight. Yeah. Chris is fast, hits with explosive power.
Yeah.
Why not we try and start with Peter Fury?
Yeah, well, actually, since the last interview, I've spoken to Peter a few times. Tyson's dad knows some of my wife's family up in Manchester who are actually gypsies as well. So, and I've spoken to him before at York Hall, and I've got to speak to Tyson's dad, who's a gentleman he is. And but I spoke to Peter only for the first time the other day on Twitter.
Great.
And since obviously you spoke to him, and I think he'd seen a bit of the fight and whatever, and yeah, of course, again, Tyson, I love Tyson. I love his personality.
So do I.
You know, I think he's absolutely fantastic.
I do.
And he's produced in the goods in fighting. So of course, again, we'd love to, you know, Chris is willing to learn and, you know, take advice off anybody and rub shoulders and spar anybody. So of course, that's definitely, we're definitely open for that.
Well, there's certain trainers that I'm talking to. One in particular, James Ali Bashir. I've got an interview coming soon. You might be very interested in him. He was around Muhammad Ali's time. He's the trainer now of Eddie Chambers. Yes. And in the corner of Vladimir Klitschko as well, a wealth of experience. And
well, actually, I think he got in touch with us. It might have been in, I'm not sure, but somebody from the team got in touch with us because they want us for Jonathan Banks has showed interest in us.
Wow, yeah, that's world class sparring, and as you know, I'm a fan of Chris Keane. You know, so if there's anything I can do to support that too, that'd be fantastic. So the last time when I did an interview with Baylor at TV, did you get any comments from that video?
Excuse me. Yeah. A few people have seen it, and you know, obviously a lot of interest. You know, we've had more followers on Twitter. People showing interest, other people wanting to do interviews, asking questions. So yeah, it was brilliant, and that's why Ingram, you know, we're very grateful to you from the first time. Obviously, we met you down in the Chisora camp. Yep. And we'll always have time for you, mate, always, you know, and do whatever we can really, when you want to do an interview, because we really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, and one day when I can get my butt back to the UK, I want to be able to watch Chris up close, watch him train, do some videos, and probably, if I'm there long enough in the UK, to maybe him get a shot at some, you know, a title in the future.
Well, yeah, there should be something in the pipeline very soon, which obviously I can't say too much yet, but...
Please say Dickinson! Please say Dickinson! Please say Dickinson!
Listen, then personally, I don't think they're going to want to fight us, mate.
No, I don't know.
You know, so until somebody vacates, or somebody is made to, or somebody wins purse bids, I don't know whether that's going to happen
so what are we, in the future. What are we going to see with Chris? Are we going to see Chris still fighting in the UK? Are we going to see him go across to the States and take some fights? What are we going to see with Chris Keane?
I mean, there's a few things really. One of the things that we got planned for is Europe, because obviously cruiserweights are massive in Europe.
Yes.
Massive division. We want to try and get over. We want to try and get some sparring with Adamek, Mormek.
I was about to mention Mormek actually.
Afalobi.
Yeah. Afalabi.
Look, he just sparred that Upio who took Masterneck 12 rounds for the European title in December. And obviously what happens in the gym stays in the gym. But listen, if that was a fight, Chris would be a winner by knockout. That's what I will say there. Okay?
Okay.
So that is somebody who's fighting and challenging already for a European title. So, believe it or not, we're only 4 or 5 fights, mate, away from that level.
Okay, I want to bring somebody else into the equation here, and Derek Chisora. Now, again, I'm a big fan of Derek.
And me.
But my concern, Chris Keane is 9-0.
Yeah, he's only 9-0.
That's to say, Derek Chisora's what, 15 fights? He had 15, 16 odd fights, and he's lost like 4 losses now. And just the other day, he was an unbeaten fighter, one of the top prospects in the country, British champion, a British Commonwealth champion, gets beat by Tyson Fury, then gets beat by, then fights Helenius, gets a dodgy decision, still loses that, fights Vitali, gets loses to Vitali, then gets knocked out by David Haye, and his record now looks so different, and people are now calling Chisora a potential journeyman.
Well,
I know.
Listen, anybody who would say that Derek Chisora is a journeyman, right, is obviously they're either an idiot, excuse my language, or they don't know boxing, do they? Because, to get knocked out by David Haye is no disgrace, okay? To lose to Vitali Klitschko, okay, a champion for how long and how many people he's knocked out, okay, is not a disgrace. Robert Anelius, okay, he got robbed against him, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Either way, it's a loss on his record, but it's still not a disgrace who he lost to. Okay? Tyson Fury is probably the only fight where he will kick himself for whatever reason. He didn't come in shape, or he didn't try his best, but still that's nothing to do with Tyson. Tyson's done the business and beat him fair and square. So, realistically, again, Tyson Fury, he's on the fringe of world title. He's a great fighter. So it's not, a journeyman is somebody, right, who is brought in at short notice to help lads who have had 1 fight, had 2 fights, who are early in their career, right, to teach them and take them a few rounds. Derek Chisora is most certainly not a bloody journeyman.
I'm glad you said that, because people need to hear this. People need to understand, and this term bums. This guy's a bum. That guy's a bum. It's a very fashionable.
Listen, you're not a boxing fan full stop if you use the word bum towards any fighter. Anybody who gets in the ring deserves credit, Ingram.
I agree. What about guys that are protected? Guys who fight with big unbeaten records, but fight nobody to know. Then that's where the fans get frustrated and start saying this guy's fighting bums. That's where the frustration comes from.
Yeah, of course. That's why one of the nicest people involved in boxing, Michael Sprott, he's a diamond of a man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why he deserved that win against Gerber the other day. There's a typical example of someone who was 25, 26-0. He fought nobody. Now, he's not the only one. There's a lot of fighters in the UK at the minute, right, mate, who are on verge of the world title. I'm not going to say no names, that haven't fought anybody for 24, 25, 26 fights.
I know that. I know one in particular. I've got to do.
You like to know, mate, now, Ingram, and they still realistically haven't fought nobody.
I know. So how do I say we, because I'm just so passionate about Chris. How do we plot a way forward to Chris going on eventually becoming a world champion without the pitfalls of taking fights that are too easy for him, or too difficult for him, or too easy for him, or how do you?
That's where we're not going to do that. You see, Ingram. Listen, we're confident already that there's nobody in the UK in the cruiserweight division that can stop Chris. So the first thing is that's where we're at. We're not going to jump ahead of ourselves. We are willing to fight absolutely anybody in the UK. At any time. We're in shape, we're ready. Come along, put the money on the table, and we're willing to fight you.
Let me ask you a question.
Anybody
would you do a yo-yo thing and pop up to the heavyweight for a few fights?
Not right now, no. Because as I say, Chris is 30. Well,
now you're thinking.
It has actually been spoke about eventually, and again coming back to David Hay, that eventually we would like to try and do with Chris what David Hay has done.
Yeah.
Again, Chris is anybody who sees Chris. We had a matchmaker on the last show. I heard them bloody hell. He's only at light heavyweight. Why is he fighting at cruiser? Well, I'll tell you why, mate. For that exact reason, because we just knocked somebody out who's never been knocked out in their life, in the amateurs or pros, even at super heavyweight, by some big punchers and big fighters from around the world at this current moment, and we just absolutely annihilated him and took him apart. We don't, that's as simple as that. We don't have to drain weight, mate. When everyone else is cutting weight and dehydrating and boiling down, okay, mate, we can go and eat chicken and sweet potato and rice all week, mate. We can carb up and fuel up and be nice. Everyone else is dehydrating and killing themselves. Why should we have to do that? If Chris punched like a fairy, then yeah, we'd look at moving to light heavyweight. But he doesn't. He punches. He's knocking out heavyweights inspiring, mate.
So going over to the States is something you would consider doing?
Of course, yeah, most definitely. I'm still one thing we're crying out for. We need sponsorship as well.
Right.
Chris,
keep going.
We've got no sponsors. We've got no sponsorship. We've got nothing behind us. Nobody really helping us. Still no big promoter really behind us. And we're just trudging along.
Wait. So I thought you were Frank Warren. Frank Warren's not your promoter.
Only one fight at a time.
Ah, see, fans wouldn't have known that either, and other people probably wouldn't have known that.
There you go. Chris has had to get to where he's got to already by willing to do what he's willing to do, and that is he will fight absolutely anybody.
Wow. I had a conversation with Steve Goodwin the other day. Very good man, and
yeah.
I don't know. Steve Goodwin might be interested. You never know.
Yeah, you know, we have one fight at a time with Frank Warren. You know, to see as and when we're going. But I know Frank's just signed Simon Fallady, who's a good amateur as well. He boxed at super heavy and heavyweight. Okay. He won the ABAs as well. Obviously, they've got Tony Conquest. They've got Dawson now.
Yeah. And
they're fighting a rematch. I know Eddie Hearn's got Wadi Camacho, who Chris absolutely had him really, mate. Chris had him pirouetting and dancing around the ring like he was a ballet dancer, mate, when they fought in the Nations. You know, that's a fight that we'd love that I can't see happening either.
Okay. So who would you say the top? I mean, Chris is what now, because I think Mcphillbin was back 4th or 3rd in England, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think we're number 3 in the country now already. Yeah.
So you're ranked number 3. So who's above you guys?
John Lewis Dickinson.
Yeah.
And Dawson. Neil Dawson.
Okay, and Dawson knocked out Conquest and Warren, right?
Who is? We've got China Clark just below us.
I know I met China Clark when I was in with Chisora as well. I think the same week I met China Clark as well.
Yeah. China Clark is 1 below us, and then Conquest is 1 below him.
So, in terms of manoeuvring,
yeah,
Dickinson's got to be the fight to take.
Well, he has, and believe me, we're willing to take that fight if you know the money's put to us, and you know everything, you know.
All right, let's put it this way. Chris becomes British champion. Do you think he'll get more recognition that way? In terms of sponsorship?
Of sponsorship, well, sponsorship's very hard for boxers now anyway. If you're coming off the Olympics, or you know you're already a household name, or you've been on the podium squad, then you know sponsorship's more available for you. Yeah. You know, there is not many companies now or businesses that really that want to be sponsoring boxers now. You know, sponsorship, some people might think, who's going to want to just give you money every week? It's not necessarily money. We could be looking at a butcher's who will give us meat every week, or give us meat at a cheap, very discount. A greengrocer will give us fruit and veg and fresh stuff at, cost price or next to nothing. You know, so it hasn't got to be companies that are looking to just give you money. It all helps. You know, it's expensive. You say boxing, boxing, when you're not if you want to try and concentrate full time on boxing, and you've got no income, how are you meant to live? How are you meant to get to and from the gym? How are you meant to eat? Because obviously the food that you need is expensive.
Oh, somebody would say, "Oh, well, he's a boxer. He must be earning some money."
I'd like to know where, mate. I heard Carl Frotch on the ringside say, boxers don't earn enough, and that's the truth, mate. They don't. There's no. Very, very few boxers earn a lot of money. I mean, Matthew Macklin, from what I heard in his last fight in America, got $86,000. That's like £50,000. That's a 12-rounder on fringes of world title. I heard Carl Frotch got something like gross $400,000 when he fought Jermaine Taylor.
And he's a champion.
And he was a WBC world champion. If you look at that and then you look at a footballer gets £250,000 a week.
Okay.
There's not a lot. There's obviously, until you get, big unification fights against big names, there's not an awful lot of money, especially in the cruiserweight division at the minute.
So I guess you've got that situation where you've got to take learning. Where you could do is take the learning fight or the training session inside the gym by taking out the sparring sessions to make it more worthwhile. And then instead of fighting these biding time fights, you could take fights that will move you up the rankings, not just in Britain but in Europe. Because if you don't suppose you don't get a British title shot straight away, you can get a fight that's moving you up in the European rankings.
Yeah. Well, we took 2 fights before Mcphillbin for free. We boxed for nothing.
What?
Yeah, he boxed Moses Matavu just to get a few rounds in, and again, Chris could have knocked him out, but we told him, listen, we need the rounds. Relax, stay off the gas, and just pop your jab out and get a few rounds in. And we also boxed an unbeaten lad who was 4-0 with 3 first-round knockouts himself.
Okay.
Who was unbeaten, and Chris obviously just didn't take no chances with him and ended up destroying him in 40 seconds.
Wow.
And again, that fight was for free, but it was to get out there and get a few, try and get a few rounds in, but he didn't listen that fight. And just try and keep trudging along, which is what we're trying to do.
So if it was you, in your world, what would you have? Who would be your next 3 fights, for example? If you could line them up.
My next 3 fights. My next fight would be another unbeaten prospect, Wadi Camacho. See how far he's come on, how far Chris has come on.
Okay.
My next fight after him would probably be John Lewis Dickinson for the British title. My next fight after John Lewis Dickinson, I'd probably start looking at, once we beat John Lewis Dickinson, who else is there realistically in the UK? If we beat Wadi Camacho as well, who's unbeaten, who's climbing the ranks.
But
there is nobody else.
I don't think Wadi Camacho I don't think that fight will happen. I think they'll want to build him as well.
Listen, I know for a fact that fight won't happen. That fight will not happen.
They'll want to build his record up. They'll want to build his record up. So they'll try and make that fight happen down the line, if anything, like a Price Fury thing. Yeah.
So it would be John Lewis Dickinson, and then we won the British title. We're between the devil and the deep blue sea. We get flagged off for fighting nobodies to try and keep the British title, or we have to then quickly move on towards European title. This is what I said to you.
Who's the Commonwealth champion?
Realistically, 5 fights away. It's vacant.
To fight for the Commonwealth title then?
Politics.
Okay. What about a WBC silver title?
The thing with cruiserweight division now is this: it's the same as the EBU EU title.
Yeah.
Any of the IBFs, WBAs, WBC, Intercontinental, International titles, they're all owned by the likes of Latif Coyote, who is he's a Nigerian. He's based in America.
But I know him, and I know his team.
Yeah, he's ranked number 3 in the world.
Yeah, he's moving up. He's moved up to heavyweight. So forget that.
Yeah. They're all owned by them types of people, like you know, Afolabi owns, he owns an interim now, doesn't he? But he was the WBO Intercontinental Champion.
Right.
You know, they're all owned by guys in the Cruiserweight division that are on the verge of world titles anyway.
Yeah.
So that's too far of a jump.
Right.
At the minute. What we need are rounds. We need the ability and the power and everything is there to go to European level, but we need rounds. We're inexperienced.
Yeah, at least you're aware that you're not saying we're the best in the world and we're world class.
No, not by a long shot. We are more than confident at the minute that there's nobody in the UK that could live with Chris. But then we get the British title. There's nobody left for us to fight in the UK, and we have to move on. Then we move on. Then what happens? We end up losing because we haven't got enough experience. We don't want to do that. When we get to a certain level, we want to be able to keep progressing, hold on to titles, and keep winning more titles. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We don't want to be able to. We don't want to win a title and then lose it in our next fight.
That's true. That's very true. It's very true. So, in terms of getting, so let's say you got offered to spar in America. In terms of travel expenses, how's that going to work? Will you be able to do that? Because I know that you're talking, you've got no sponsor at the moment, and stuff like that. So, is that difficult for travel and stuff?
Wales and back to wherever we go. That is paid between myself and Paul Hudson.
Right.
So the week leading up to Chris's fight, every day, and but obviously we don't.